essentially, guys, what I'm trying to say is that I think there is a process and a structural flaw at United, which is what I think a lot of fans have also identified. I don't think this is so much about just the manager or just Matt Judge or just Ed Woodward, right? I think there is fundamentally we haven't evolved with the times. We haven't changed the way other clubs have changed, which is why other clubs have moved so far ahead, and we are where we are. I remember there's a time in Liverpool. I mean, I would laugh at the even at thought of Liverpool winning a title because they were that bad. Believe me, they were that bad. But today, look at them, man. Look at City. City, I can't even begin to tell you guys, like when they were banter FC in 2008, when they signed Robinho and all, they were banter FC. They finished 8th and then 14th and then, like, there was a time in football as a fan where this whole thing of buying players and all seen as a farce. Today, it's the way of life. It's the way of a football club. It's the way the world has changed. And unfortunately, the four of us acknowledge it. The people, the devil's trinity, they don't. They still think, football operates differently.
Abby, I want to add a little bit over there to the devil's trinity is that just watch any other football club operate, okay? Even a player like Patrick Bamford that Marco Bielsa really wanted because he fitted his system, Leeds went head over shoulders to get Patrick Bamford. Even a signing as 10 million seen from a rival club in the championship and they got it over the line. Here we are,
True.
Manchester United playing in the Champions League, playing in the Premier League. We're the Manchester United. We have the most hallowed grounds in world football, and we're not able to sign players that the manager wants. N'Golo Kante, are you telling me N'Golo Kante personally chose to go to Chelsea over Man United? If Man United knocked at his door, I don't see why he wouldn't have come to this club. Tony Cruz, we left him on scene. We left Tony Cruz on scene. The man had packed his bag. He was ready to come to Man United, and we left him on scene. That's what we did with Tony Cruz. I'm appalled. I mean, I said that this would have been, but I'm appalled as to how this club is run. It just baffles me that small clubs are able to do it. Small clubs are able to get the players the manager wants, and they do well. They do well.
I have a question, Prashant, to you, Vishesh, and Sid. I have a question to you guys. I don't know if you all have been following United long enough, but what's the bigger transfer saga? Wesley Sneijder to United or Jadon Sancho to United?
Wesley Sneijder to United.
Hands
Hands
down.
down.
It takes another 2-3 years for Jadon Sancho to reach that level right now.
To get to Sneijder levels.
I was probably a year old then. I'm being sarcastic.
But Sid, what do you think of what I've just said is to how? Just put some sense to it as to how Leeds. Forget Leeds. Teams in the Premier League. Everton. Just look at the way Everton have gone into the market.
Prashant, I have gone on record to say this multiple times, and I'll give you an answer right there. What you're saying is spot on, and the reason is Leeds have a Victor Orta. We don't. Victor Orta is the guy you can watch on Leeds' documentary, who was almost in tears when they didn't sign someone like a Dan James back when Dan James wasn't Dan James, and when Leeds were a championship side. Here's a man who was the director of football for a championship club, who was not English, who was whatever, Italian or Spanish or wherever Spanish, I think, and bleeding and crying for an English second division side. That's what we don't have, Prashant. You're spot on. We don't have that. We don't have people who will bleed and cry for this club. Do you think Ed Woodward is crying that we didn't get Jadon Sancho? Do you think he had a sleepless night the other night? Ask yourselves. I mean,
he probably was.
Maybe he was thinking about the lost shirt sales, Abby. That's all.
No. He
was or probably.
Which is also minuscule. Huh? It's minuscule.
He was just
sorry.
security at home. That's all that he was doing. He was just ensuring there wasn't another attack at his place.
He is most upset about the fact that United cannot host audiences and crowds at Old Trafford, because every match that we go on now without crowds, we lose 4 million. That is Ed Woodward. So I won't be surprised if Ed Woodward is. Yeah.
Let Stretford End be packed, and that will be Ed Woodward's greatest nightmare.
Yeah.
So Sid, I want you to come in here and just wrap it up, or like just give your thoughts on the entire situation.
Okay. Vishesh asked me a couple of minutes back, how did I support Manchester United in 2014? Because we were not so great that time. Because whenever the word football was said, it was either Manchester United, Real Madrid, or Barcelona that was associated with that word. Every time you would either listen to the word football or see the word football, you would always think Manchester United or Madrid or Barca. That is how great our club was. That is the levels we had reached. We were considered one of the greatest clubs in the world. We are the only ones to hold a win a treble in English football. You know, this is Manchester United. We are not any random team like, no offense, but Burnley, right? We are being run by people who are not even capable of running a League Two side. We have been given false hope, and every year we say, okay, you know what, this year might be that change. It has never. Sorry. it it baffles me, you know. There are young kids, you know, at my time we still had young kids going in for Manchester United or someone, but now people are going for Manchester City. Who were they 10 years back? Who were Manchester City 10 years back, right? It was us, Manchester United, kings of Europe, rulers and bloody gods of England, you know. What has come to this club, right? The hypocrisy in this club is unbelievable. I will give you one example. We we wanted a COVID discount from Dortmund for Jadon Sancho. Dortmund was sticking to the 108 million pound price tag, and we were like, no, 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 give us like, you know, 90 million or 85 million. Here comes Roma, who want Chris Smalling. They are willing to pay 12 million, okay, because they don't have the money. They don't have enough money. We are sticking to our 18 million price tag. What about the COVID discount they want, right? We expect a COVID discount from Dortmund, but we will not give a COVID discount to Roma. And we were haggling over 6 million for weeks. And finally, Chris Smalling was signed on the last minute, on the last day of the transfer window in Italy. It was a miracle that deal went through, because on deadline day, there were reports saying that, okay, this deal is off, this deal is on, this deal is off, this deal is on. You know, why take so much time? This is what a director of football brings into the team. You know, every year we get these spins. We miss out on player. We miss out on players. We get spins. And then this year was horrible, because during the transfer window, a statement came out saying that Manchester United were not happy with the way fans were demanding transfers. Listen to us first. Just once, listen to us. Right? Don't go to Football Manager from 2014. Listen to us. We watch football. We love football. Like, listen to our recommendations. Last year we said, get Bruno. He's the midfielder for the team. They didn't. They dragged that deal, and he was so close to joining Spurs. I'm happy that didn't happen, right? And then they, after the window, after the deadline day ended, they put out, they spun the whole deal around saying that, oh, you know what, Bruno is from the Portuguese league, he might not do well. He came in Jan and he wrecked the whole league apart. Manchester United went on such a brilliant run. Bruno Fernandes, we had been crying for him for a year. For a year, we had been crying for him. So before you tell us anything,
Sid, you raised some very, very important points. And, this brings me to my final point. Manchester United don't do two things anymore. A, we don't do a transfer without a saga unless Edwin van der Sar is on the other side. And B, we don't sign any player that the world already doesn't know about. All the players we sign are what you, me, and everybody knows about, apart from Amad Traore now and Pellistri. Everyone knows about them. You go from the likes of Memphis Depay, you start from there till today when we were talking about Jadon Sancho's, whose replacement was going to be Dembele. We've not even gotten into that. Whose replacement was going to be Ousmane Dembele. Everybody is essentially, if you open up FIFA 21 or type best young players to sign on FIFA 21, this is what comes up. These are the players that will come up. This is the state of this club. Yes, it goes.
Exactly. And this baffles me, this is exactly why we need a director of football. Like, now the deadline day has
sorry
ended.
to interrupt, but all of this said, coming from a time when we would sign the likes of Javier Hernandez, Chicharito, Luis Nani, We would sign these players who were not world beaters, and I think spot on, man, Prashant. So I think fundamentally from this conversation, what I can gather is two or three things. One, that this is no secret, right? It's probably football's worst kept secret, which is United need a director of football, right? The second thing is that we there is a clear disconnect between the board and their expectations of this club and the manager and his reality of the club. I don't say expectations, I say reality, because the manager at the end of the day is on ground zero, right? He can only but project the reality of what it is. And I think to many ways, the kind of way that we've started this season is the reality of Manchester United, right? It's been us for the last 7 years since we last won a title. Whoa, what an ending. What a finish this season. Oh, we salvaged what would have been a terrible season, but we didn't win shit. We didn't win shit. And I think that's been the problem with this club, right? And I've said this about Sancho as well. We're repeating our mistakes with Bruno Fernandes. Come January, we're going to be sixth, seventh, eighth. We'll make a desperation bid for Sancho. We might even get him, but at what cost? At the cost of us, conceding a title, conceding a Champions League, just so we can salvage Europe once again. Because Europe, at the end of the day, gets us 80 million pounds per year, and that's what matters to the board.
So I actually have a
Yeah,
question.
and
I think that's very well
Sure.
summed up, Abby.
yeah,
I-
that's Vishesh. Go ahead. Vishesh,
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
I just had a question. What do you think it takes for Glazers and Woodward to understand this? Is the only solution, backing out and not buying, how everyone on social media is saying, cancel your subscriptions, don't buy jerseys, so on and so forth? Or is something like consecutive?
I love your question, man. I love your question because earlier, if you had asked me this question 2 years back, no, Vishesh, I would have said United not winning the Premier League for more than a decade, or United not winning a Premier League for 5, 6 years, or United not being competent enough in Europe. But clearly, that doesn't matter. Clearly,
Exactly.
us not
It
winning a
doesn't
Premier
matter
League. So
at
to
all.
answer. So to answer your question, there's been a revolution in India. There's been a revolution among some supporters clubs, and a lot of memberships are being thrown up in the air. I think for Ed Woodward and the board to truly wake up, I think the fans need to hit their revenues. I think that 600 million bottom line that United produces year on, right, year on year, and it increases by 5, 7, 10% year on year. If that were to be impacted, if fans stop buying, fans stop believing, anti-social media sentiment, if the revenues were to get hit, it's terrible to say, but I think only then will this current board in this current system realize the true potential and the sort of way that they've been wasting this club.
No,
I
Vishesh,
completely
there are
agree
not
with you.
many times where.
Sorry, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go
Sid,
ahead.
go on,
Go
go
ahead.
on.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sid, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Abhishek, I completely agree with you. But for that, there is this one problem which I think all of us have seen, and it's clearly there, that there is a major, major, major division in the fan base, right? To even start something, you first need to unite the fan base, okay? And then you might do whatever you want. You might get the Glazers out, but then what? Who buys the club? Like none of us can afford buying the club, so we need to
Mukesh
work
bhai,
on.
There is a solution to that. I mean, if you look at a lot of clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona, they have a certain amount of percentage that is open to fans as well, which you buy a certain number of shares and then you can get that percentage. So if fans are, and I know for a fact a lot of fans are willing to invest in this club. We saw the full Jadon Sancho saga, right? They started a full pay $1 to get the 120 million pounds to get that player. So if we have such a big fan base and if we're ready to invest a small amount each thing, we can definitely have an impact on being having some say with what the club's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
correct.
want to wrap all this up by saying the question you asked, Vishesh, and Abby, I completely agree with your answer. But I'm not as people who watch this channel regularly, and Abby, Vishesh said no, I'm not often left speechless. But the way this club is handled, it baffles me. I can't wrap my head around it. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know where we go from here. I fear the worst. I've said this before. Big teams have failed in the past. Who are we to say that 10 years down the line, Man United won't be relegated?
won't fail.
Who are we to say that? And I fear the worst. And I fear that that will happen. And the trajectory we are on, I don't know what to say. It's just
Very well said,
battling.
Prashant. Very well said. Because 10 years ago, I would have never thought we'd be in a position that we are in today. The way you're talking about relegation, I'm talking about battling for top four. Dude, 10 years ago, like finishing third would give me sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Finishing second, not winning the title was like, oh my God. Today, oh,
Abhi,
top four.
drawing to
Tomorrow,
Tottenham
oh,
Hotspur,
we're still in the
drawing
Premier
to
League.
Tottenham Hotspur was a bad result. We have gone there and lost 6-1 at Old Trafford. I mean,
Exactly.
We've
Heung-min
not gone
Son is
anywhere. They've
dancing.
come here and
That's
plundered
what,
us 6-1.
Yeah.
that's what I was just going to say. Heung-min Son is dancing at Old Trafford. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's nothing more to say than that.
And you know what?
Anyway, I think
just
this is
want
for
to
a
add
different
something.
episode. This is
Yeah.
probably for a different episode, and I won't go on too much. I know we've overshot, but you know, in a very, very, very real sense, even still losing that 6-1 to Old Trafford, TK red card early on, you know, I can still digest that. I've seen that with 6-1 with Ferguson. What really gets at me, Prashant Vishesh said, is that today when we go away to Palace and we go away to Burnley, when we host when we go away to the European sides, it's that complete defeated sense of, you know what, it's going to take something extra special to get a result. That's what hurts even more. That pains me even more because, you know, this 6-1, as ironic as it may sound, the actual result in itself, I'm not hurting so much about it. Even if we were to talk about that game, it was the performance from the players that hurts more. The scoreline doesn't hurt that much because there were many factors to it. It's just that today, when we play PSG away, we play Chelsea away, we play Newcastle away in a span of 3 days, come end of this month. That today I'm sat here thinking, you know what, that could be the most humiliating week of this season. That's what hurts me. You know, Newcastle away used to be a walk through once upon a
Abby,
time.
I agree with you, and this is where I come in. And we saw this last season as well. Do you remember the Manchester City Tottenham week where Ole managed to beat that week and
Yeah.
continue
Yeah.
his position? It's going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing, I think, come the end of the month.
I hope so.
If Ole cannot
I hope
manage to
so.
pull that week,
He's
unfortunately,
gone.
we'll have another
He's gone.
He's
scare.
gone. He's gone.
He's
Yeah.
gone.
I just
And
like to, yeah,
sorry.
Sid,
Yeah.
last word from you, Sid.
Yeah. So I just want to add something there about the Tottenham game. Okay. Why is it that we are being found out every single game of the season, right? Crystal Palace absolutely schooled us. We managed to scrape through the Brighton game, and we got absolutely, shot off the park by Spurs. Why? Because we are playing the same lineup that played towards the back end of the last season. Mourinho, one of the best managers in the world, he must have
Right.
gone to and seen like, okay, you know what? I played the same team a couple of months back. There is no change. I can
Sid,
easily figure them out.
I'm just gonna end this segment on what's wrong with the non-footballing side, and we've already done that, and I'm just gonna end by saying, as a Man United fan, it's not the hope that kills you; it's the lack of it that does.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Abby, for coming on. Thank you, Sid from the Stretford Way, for coming on. Thanks, Vishesh, for joining us. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel and follow us for more content on United and everything else. And we hope the next time we talk to you, at least there's a more happy tone to what we have to say.